Hey, I'm Ben from Bensbackwoods. You're not, so stay tuned. Hey, I'm Ben Pierceman from Ben. Hey, I'm Ben from Bensbackwoods. Today we're going to talk about breathable footwear, so stay tuned. Okay, so here we are with some breathable footwear. First, let's have a quick talk about breathable footwear. Why do we want our footwear to breathe? Well, your feet sweat. Your feet produce moisture. Your feet and the soles of your feet and the palms of your hand are constantly producing moisture to keep that skin from drying up and cracking. With a little bit of exercise and some type of work, your feet are going to sweat even more. Some people's feet sweat more than others, but in general, you're going to produce moisture in your footwear. Now that moisture, once it gets into your insulation systems, your sock systems, water transfers heat away from your body 25 times faster than air. So once you have moisture on the inside of your footwear and in your sock system, you're going to get chilled a lot faster. So the idea is we want footwear that lets that water vapor pass through our sock system, through our boot system, out in the environment, and that will keep your feet drier and warmer. Footwear that traps that moisture inside your boot, at best is going to be kind of a slightly clammy, maybe warm, sometimes swampy, swamp foot type situation, and certain weather conditions, that's the best we can hope for. Other times, having breathable footwear is, in my opinion, is going to be the way to go. I've experimented with a bunch of different stuff. We're going to get into talking about several different types of boots here. Okay, first let's talk about sizing. So I wear a size 13 tennis shoe. Now in all my boots, we'll look at these Rothco Vmax boots. I buy these in a size 14. I buy these a size larger. Same thing with these Rockies right here. I've got them in a size 14. So my thinking is, in any boot I'm going to wear in cooler or colder weather, I want to go a size up. I want to be able to wear a medium weight to maybe thicker wool sock, and I still want to have wiggle room and slop in my footwear. So let's talk about wiggle room. Wiggle room, I want to be able to wiggle my toes. I don't want that to be constricted or restricted in any way. Slop, I want to be able to feel a little bit of up and down slop in my footwear, and even side to side. That extra looseness and that slop in there, what it's doing is that's giving you a dead air space, which acts as an insulation, but at the same time, it's giving your footwear the ability to, when you walk and when you move, that extra air is pumping in and out of your boots, and it's going to pass that water vapor and keep your feet warmer and drier. So size your boots for extra wiggle room in the toes and a little extra slop side to side, up and down. Sock systems, me being a size 13, I have real trouble with putting on multiple pairs of socks, just because, you know, I might be able to get a thin wool pair of socks on, then kind of a thicker wool pair, but then sometimes that ends up being too tight. And that's what I found is that, you know, if you can fit 2 to 3 pairs of wool socks, Moore's always talked about having 3 pairs of wool socks. If your feet are sized and you can get footwear to size that, go for it if that's comfortable for you. For me, my socks end up being too tight, and now because they're too tight, you're restricting blood flow to your feet, and you're going to have cold feet. So I would personally experiment with going with maybe a thinner wool sock to make sure you have that slop, that back and forth and that up and down movement. Once you go too thick of a sock, once you lose that slop, my theory is you're going to be a little colder. You might be warmer at first, but as the day goes on, you're going to be colder. So having that slop and having that extra room in there, I think is extremely important. Okay, first off, let's look at these two cold weather, dry cold weather types of footwear. This one here is the Airforce Mukluk, the green Mukluk. These here I have trimmed off the heel on them a little bit there, just because snowshoeing and that type of thing, the heel I didn't really like the heel. And honestly, the way these fit, when you have them on a loose fit, when you have kind of a longer heel, sometimes my ankle would kind of want to roll every now and then because that heel would kind of get caught on stuff. So that's what I did to these. I also have the Steger Mukluk liners in them, and on the inside I've got the couple wool liners underneath it that they come with. Some of these, what I'll also do is put the air mesh insole. This is that plastic insole that I sell. It's got a certain thickness to it. This cannot absorb moisture, so this moisture passes right through it. I kind of like having this right next to my sock system, so since I got these Steger recommends putting their insoles on the inside of the liner, so I started doing it with these, and it works fantastic. So I'll put if I have the room in my system. Once again, you start adding too many insoles, felt liners, what have you, and your boot gets too tight, you're going to lose. It's going to get cold. So sizing footwear so you have a little bit of slop, a little bit of wiggle room, and then being able to put a mesh liner like this. I put it right inside this liner, and my sock system is touching that mesh insole, and that's a fantastic way to go. This here is a Steger Mukluk, and both these I kind of keep rolled down like this if I want to slide them on and off throughout the day. Makes it easy. These are a moose hide and a canvas upper. The idea is you want these to breathe. You want water vapor to pass through this. These are not waterproofed. Steger recommends like a light silicone spray that they put on here, just to protect that leather, and they say that it will still breathe. You might want to experiment with that a little bit. I've done kind of a light coating on there, but I definitely don't want to. I want this whole canvas part breathable for sure. Same thing with these Airforce Mukluks. I've kind of hit a light coat of silicone spray along the bottom here, because that's the part that is going to come into contact with slush and moisture. But other than that, this is breathable canvas. You do not want this waterproofed. You want to be able to take this, and you should be able to blow right through it. Both these are fantastic for cold weather. These are recommended, basically, this type of footwear in the Snow Walker's Companion, which is a fantastic book on traditional winter camping skills. This type of breathable boot is traditional, and in general they recommend these for, in this book, 25 degrees Fahrenheit and colder. So me personally, I shoot for that. If I'm walking on the snow and the snow is squeaky, I know it's dry, I switch over to these Mukluks. With that being said though, I've spent a lot of time hunting in northern Michigan in November, where it was above freezing. I'm going to go out, 35, 40 degrees out. You're going to walk out to your tree stand or deer blind and sit still for 3 or 4 hours. I don't care what the weather is. I wear these anyways. I don't care if it's above freezing. I wear these. I don't care if this footwear, I've worn these. Today it's 37 degrees and it's kind of raining right now, but we've got sleet 20 minutes ago and it's supposed to snow later. I'll wear these. I don't care if the outside of them gets wet. It's still breathable, and you have to put a lot of moisture from the outside environment to really soak through this thick wool liner. So if I was going to be out all day in today's weather, this wet cold, yeah, I wouldn't use this. But as far as sitting out 3-4 hours, and you can come back in and dry them off, this is a fantastic way of going for deer hunting. Both these work very well for that. So, but in dry, cold conditions, these breathe so well and let the water vapor and the moisture out of your sock system and footwear that your feet are toasty warm, and these are definitely the most comfortable boots you're going to find for dry, cold conditions. So now let's take a look at, these are a Rothco Vmax boot. This is kind of a military tactical style boot. And same thing with these Rocky, I don't remember the C4T trainer. Both of these here have vents in the side of them, almost like a jungle type boot. And you can see the vents there. And this, feels like a Cordura. It's not a canvas. It is breathable. You can blow through it. So what I've kind of experimented with on both these boots, you can see the toe area here. I hit the toe area pretty hard with the snow seal because I want waterproof toes. I don't care about the rest of my foot, honestly. I want my toes to stay dry. So I waterproof the toes on these, and I've got them sized up. Both these come with a really thick insole. These are basically, they're very lightweight. They're basically a almost a tennis shoe type design with kind of a high top, and so they're very lightweight. You can run in them and that type of thing, and great for hiking and walking. They've got a thick insole, so I'll pop the insole out for colder weather, and I'll put in, once again, I put in this air mesh insole. Now, air mesh insole, and I can put a thick pair of wool socks on in these, and a lot of times I don't even lace them up. I leave them loose like this. I just let my pants hang over them, and I have good wiggle room in my toes and good slop. Enough to where that with this type of boot, even at 25 degrees Fahrenheit, I would take this boot over something like a muck boot. This neoprene, these are completely waterproof. And the reason is that these don't have any insulation, and they might not be as warm at first compared to a muck boot, but I find with like the muck boots is that I get 2 to 3 hours out of them, and then once that moisture starts building up in the inside of your boot and in your socks and in your sock system, they get chilly, they get cold, and there's nothing you can do about it except for dry them out. When they're completely dry, they're warm for a while. Now, if I know I'm gonna be standing in water, or let's say thick slush on the top of a lake, yes, you're going to want to go completely waterproof boot, just because these will eventually get soaked. But with that said, I've used these snowshoeing this past winter. I've used them in wet cold. I've used them in let's say 3-4 inches of snow that was kind of slushy. I've used these like working in the shop, out in the yard, jump in your vehicle, and you could feel the heat from your vehicle just blowing right through this and drying them out. They, like I said, snowshoeing, I've been out snowshoeing in like mid 20 degree Fahrenheit with these, and you've got an activity level because you're obviously working hard snowshoeing. These are just as toasty warm as Mukluks, and these are lighter. And so to me, I'm going to use these in as many conditions as I can, and just because that breathability is huge. Like I said, if you know you're going to be standing in the water or standing in thick slush, then I switch over to a waterproof boot, or in the winter I will use like those tingly rubber over boots over top of a felt liner. But they're not, the completely waterproof boots are never going to be comfortable. The best thing you can do on them is probably, if it's a waterproof boot, is continually change your sock system out. But you're only going to get a couple hours out of them depending on your activity level, and that moisture is going to be reintroduced into your footwear, and that transfers heat away from your body fast, and it's going to be chilled. This like wet, cold condition we're in right now, 35, 37 degrees, snow, sleet, rain. Sometimes that's your only choice. Your feet are cold, you get moving, your feet will warm up, but you kind of just have that either warm, swampy feeling or that cold, clammy feeling with the waterproof boots. So I would definitely take a hard look at both these, this Rocky boot or this Rothco Vmax. They're very similar. This Rothco Vmax has a little more aggressive tread on it, so I've been using these in the winter, all winter long. These are a little slippery in the winter. I'll probably use these in a little warmer weather. Okay, so now we've got snow, sleet, little rain going on. We're at about 38 degrees. This is a perfect example of wet cold conditions. Something else to consider in these wet cold conditions is that there's so much moisture in the air that when you're wearing a waterproof boot, or let's say even like a Gore-Tex like waterproof jacket, is that the 98.6 degrees that your body is putting out, you've got that heat that your body's putting out at some point hitting that cold air, and you can very easily become a condensation trap. You can have a Gore-Tex coat that the inside of it will be soaked, and it's not from sweat, it's from collecting condensation from all the moisture in the air. The same thing that can happen to footwear in certain conditions, and this is one of the reasons why I really lean towards breathable footwear in as many conditions that I can use. These Mukluks for low activity, sitting still, and dry cold, Arctic cold conditions, this is the way to go for sure. Even though they're breathable, like I said, I will stretch these out into deer hunting. A day like today, if I had to sit outside for 3 or 4 hours deer hunting, I'm going to wear these. Even though the outside of this is going to get wet, could even get soaked, I can bring them inside, dry them out, no big deal. If I knew I was going to be out all day in wet cold conditions, yes, then maybe I want to switch over to a rubber boot. But definitely you could stretch these into that wet cold season for certain activities. These breathable kind of jungle type boots, to me, this boot is good for summer conditions all the way down to, I would say, 20 degrees Fahrenheit, probably in the teens. It depends on your activity level. If you have to sit still for a long period of time, this is not going to be that great. It's fine in this 32 degree, even in this little bit of wet cold. If you have to, like I said, if you know you're going to be standing in slushy snow or standing in cold water, then you're going to want to go with a rubber boot. But for warm weather, walking through puddles and stuff like that, these boots will dry very fast and will let moisture out. So in summary, I definitely steer you towards these breathable type boots, and you can see how far you can push these. You can push these down into the teens, into 20 degrees Fahrenheit with an activity level. If you're sitting still, go with something like this, something that's really insulated well. Otherwise, these make fantastic all-around work boots, hiking boots, that type of thing, and I'm really pleased with how well they perform with that breathability. So hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks for watching.